As many of us feared, US President Donald Trump has finally revealed his dangerous plans for Gaza and Palestinians living there. What left everyone surprised was the speed with which Trump has made this announcement. He unveiled his plans on the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza within a week of his presidency. Here's what happened. Speaking to reporters this weekend, Trump said that he had spoken to King Abdullah of Jordan about taking Palestinians into his country, and he planned to do the same with Egypt's Abdel Fattah el-Sisi.
I'm talking to General el-Sisi tomorrow, sometime I believe, and I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing. It's over the centuries that's many conflicts that site, and I don't know. It's something has to happen, but it's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything's demolished, and people are dying there. So I'd rather get involved with some of the Arab nations and build housing in a different location where they can maybe live in peace for a change.
Temporarily, or would they?
It could be either. It could be temporarily. Could be long term.
Now, this is not the first time that he has used the term demolition site to describe the situation in Gaza or Ukraine for that matter. He's repeatedly used this term during his media interactions ever since he took the oath of office for the second time on 20th of January.
Confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of this deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident, but I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2-state?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, the best weather. Everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you could have, you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead.
Although he said that Palestinians would move to Jordan or Egypt so that the rebuilding of Gaza could begin, adding that this could be a short-term or even long-term arrangement, this doesn't make it any more comforting for the native population of Gaza. In other words, forced displacement of over 2 million Palestinians or ethnic cleansing of native people of Palestine. The development comes just days after Trump's pick as the UN ambassador, Elise Stefanik, repeated the Israeli terrorist line that Palestinians had no right to even live in the occupied West Bank.
Representative Stefanik, it was a very simple question. I just asking you if you agree with the statement that in order to achieve long-term peace and stability in the Middle East, that we have to secure the human rights and rights of self-determination for both Israelis and Palestinians. That's a yes or no?
I support human rights for all, and I think it's a disgrace that Hamas and Hezbollah have stripped human rights of the Palestinian people, and we need to ensure that we are standing up for human rights, and Israel is standing up for human rights. It is a beacon of human rights in the region.
We agree with that. I asked you in my office also about whether Palestinians have the right of self-determination. My understanding was you said yes. Do you have a different answer today?
That was not the direct question that we discussed. I said the Palestinian people...
You believe that Palestinians have the right of self-determination?
I believe the Palestinian people deserve so much better than the failures that they've had from terrorist leadership.
It's just a pretty simple question.
And I believe we need peace in the region. Of course they deserve human rights.
So...
I want to ensure that, number one, we bring the hostages home.
So do all of us. Representative Stefanik, let me just ask you. I have 30 seconds left. I'm rarely surprised by answers in my office, but I did ask you whether you subscribe to the views of Finance Minister Smotrich,
Of who? I'm sorry, finance.
Smotrich, this is the Israeli Finance Minister Smotrich, and the former National Security Minister Ben-Gvir, who believe that Israel has a biblical right to the entire West Bank. And in that conversation, you told me that, yes, you shared that view. Is that your view today?
Yes.
Okay. I think when it comes to this very difficult issue, if the president is going to succeed at bringing peace and stability to the Middle East, we're going to have to look at the UN Security Council resolutions, not just the ones on Lebanon, which we should enforce, but other UN Security Council resolutions. And it's going to be very difficult to achieve that if you continue to hold the view that you just expressed, which is a view that was not held by the founders of the State of Israel, who were secular Zionists, not religious Zionists. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What Stefanik said left even a US congressman shocked. Moreover, we have seen Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, making exactly similar points, i.e., exploiting the real estate potentials of Gaza by forcing Palestinians out of the area.
There are real fears on the part of Arabs, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
Maybe, but I'm not sure there's much left of Gaza at this point. So, if you think about even the construct, Gaza was not really a historical precedent, right? It was the result of a war. Borders are changed historically over time. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt, right? I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. And Gaza's waterfront property. It could be very valuable. It's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. I think proactively recognizing a Palestinian state would essentially be rewarding an act of terror that was perpetrated into Israel. So it's a super bad idea in that regard.
Trump's statement has evoked condemnation from Palestinian groups. A statement by Palestinian Authority read, and I quote, "We emphasize that the Palestinian people will never abandon their land or their holy sites, and we will not allow the repetition of Nakba of 1948 and 1967. Our people will remain steadfast and will not leave their homeland." End quote. Even US Senator Lindsey Graham told CNN that Trump's plans to displace over 2 million Palestinians out of Gaza had left him puzzled.
You've been very involved in this issue, Senator. Last night, when talking about Palestinians who live in Gaza, President Trump said he wants to, quote, clean that whole thing out. What does that mean?
I really don't know. I do know this, that Hamas needs to go. All these guys with masks on and guns, they're scum, and I hope they're dead men walking. What they did to those 4 young ladies, parade them in front of the Palestinian community and put them on the world stage, was disgusting. My heart breaks for what they've gone through. So the idea Hamas survives is a non-starter for me. But the idea that all the Palestinians are going to leave and go somewhere else, I don't see that to be overly practical. I don't know what he's talking about, but go talk to MBS, go talk to the UAE, go talk to Egypt. What is their plan for the Palestinians? Do they want them all to leave?
You've been going there. What is the plan?
Well, I think they want the Palestinians to be able to live with dignity and security for Israel.
But you got to get rid of Hamas first.
You can't do this without getting rid of Hamas. You're dead right. Hamas is the problem for the world, not just the Palestinians. But the question you asked is a good one. Does the Arab world support sending all the Palestinians out of Gaza? I'd be surprised if they did.
Though Lindsey Graham thinks that Trump should speak to regional Arab rulers to find a solution, I don't think this would change anything for Palestinians. The reality is that Trump has started to act like a dictator in his second term. You only have to see his pronouncements on Greenland, the Panama Canal, Gulf of Mexico, and even illegally annexing Canada. The guy is simply not bothered about any international law or what the world would think of his crazy ideas. He also knows that his predecessor, genocidal Joe Biden, and his participation in the genocide of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians did not result in any consequences for him. And Biden was a Democrat. someone expected to have liberal values and respect for international law. So what consequences could Trump's imperialist plans have? Absolutely nothing. This despite the fact that neither Jordan nor Egypt would agree to taking Palestinians into their countries. A significantly large percentage of Jordan's population already consists of Palestinian refugees or their descendants. The Jordanian king knows that more Palestinians would be detrimental to his power. Remember this statement by Jordanian foreign minister. I don't think he had suddenly developed a spine to stand against the US. He was only expressing his fears about the growing anger against his king among Jordanians on the continuing genocide in Gaza.
We really stand at the brink of regional war now. The only path to save the region from that is for Israel to stop the aggressions on Gaza, on Lebanon, stop unilateral measures, illegal measures on the West Bank that is also pushing the situation towards the abyss. We want this to end, and we want to be able to get to a place where we can really talk about achieving a just and lasting peace that will guarantee the security of all. But we meet at a very, very critical moment. As you mentioned, the humanitarian situation is really difficult. We look at northern Gaza now, where we do see ethnic cleansing taking place, and that has got to stop.
But the real question is, why must Palestinians agree to leave their native land? Is that the reason why they sacrificed everything in the last 15 months, or say 70 plus years? Look, Arab rulers are American slaves. There are no two ways about it. They are in no position to defy the US. They will have no option but to wag their tails like obedient dogs. That's what they are. Some of you may argue that this wouldn't be acceptable to Saudi's MBS, whose precondition to normalizing relations with Israel is the creation of an independent state of Palestine. But anyone who has followed MBS closely knows that he is more Zionist than even Israeli Zionists themselves. So Trump is not likely to face any resistance from him. Trump also realizes that Palestinians have no support in the region. Iran has silently watched the decimation of Hezbollah in Lebanon and al-Assad regime in Syria. All talks of Iran being capable of going nuclear have turned out to be a hoax. So whichever way you look at it, it's not good news for Palestinians. If sanity doesn't prevail over Trump, the region is going to be pushed into an unending cycle of conflict. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you do think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. The details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.